Summer Internship 2020 presentation by Annabelle Baker. All right, so this summer I worked for a company called Radical Media. They were founded in 1993. Their headquarters are in New York City. They also have offices in LA, London, Berlin, and Shanghai. So they're pretty big. They describe themselves on their website as a fully integrated global media and communications company that produces content for film, television, and digital platforms, as well as immersive experiences and events. So basically, they do work under other companies to do campaigns and stuff like that. So they've done campaigns for like Adidas, Nike, The Gap, Vogue, and even like AT&T and Google, and all kinds of things. So it was a really cool opportunity to get to work for them virtually because that never would have happened pre-COVID. All right, so this summer's project was called PBS American Portrait. It's a documentary project. Basically, there's a whole platform online where people can submit their own stories via video or photo or even just text. And Radical is eventually gonna turn all of these stories, all the best ones, into a documentary series. I believe they're already airing one now, and they're going to air another part of the series next year. So it's a pretty cool project that I got to work on. So that was my focus. Nothing else that Radical Media was doing, just the PBS American Portrait project. And so my job while working on this project was mainly outreach. So every month we would all get assigned a state, and we would get a list of themes. So for instance, my first month I got assigned Wyoming, and we had multiple themes such as Pride Month and immigrant stories. So I would reach out to different organizations in Wyoming to try to get people to upload stories onto the PBS American Portrait platform, and we were supposed to get 5 stories a month. As it turned out, it was harder than I thought to get 5 stories a month because of all the people that said they were going to upload a story but never did, but we'll get back to that later. Another job that we had was to create one reel made with videos from the American Portrait website. We all got to pick a prompt that we wanted to do, so the prompt that I picked was "My parents wanted me to." And so I went to the website and I scoured all the videos that were under the prompt "My parents wanted me to," and I picked 10. I was given access to those 10 videos, and I chopped them up, edited them, put some music on it, and made a reel that was similar to social media reels that Radical Media would put on Instagram or Twitter to highlight videos that people were contributing to the project. Another job we all had was to gather additional stories, and these stories could be from any state, but we needed to get, one month we had 5 family-themed stories, and the other month 5 generation-themed stories, and this was on top of the other 5 state-specific stories that we all had to gather. So it was basically added up to 10 stories a month, and then whenever the company would decide to upload a new prompt, then we would get an urgent email from our boss saying "new prompt," and we need a pre-population for these prompts ASAP. And sometimes it would be an overnight thing, and we had to just fast, get people in our families or friends or whoever we could to upload a story on a back-end link for the new prompt so that we could have pre-population, so that there would be videos ready to go for that prompt as soon as they were ready to publish it to the website. All right, so my learning goals were to learn about editing and telling a story by making a reel, to learn about the demands of a remote internship, and to learn about coordinating with others to upload interesting stories to contribute to the project. So was I successful? For the reel, definitely yes. Mainly the learning came from all the feedback we were able to get. There was maybe 20 interns, 15 or 20, and every single intern gave feedback for every single video. So I got about 15 to 20 people's feedback on top of 2 people from the editing team giving feedback on my reel as well. and we had the option to do those reels over with what we learned. And we had prior meetings with people from the editing team that answered all of our questions about styles and subtitles and whatever else we needed to make our reels look professional. And so it really was a great learning experience on how to edit and how to tell a cohesive story with a beginning, middle, and end with different people's voices. All right, the second one, to learn about demands of a remote internship. I definitely learned about those demands. And I basically had to learn to be self-sufficient in not an office environment, not a collaborative environment really, although we had plenty of communication with our peers and our boss. But yeah, it was definitely a different experience, and now I know that I can work remotely if I ever needed to, because that's what I did this summer, and that's what I learned about. The third one, to learn about coordinating with others to upload interesting stories. Yes, I definitely did learn about that, and I honestly didn't think that I had that much to learn because I had done a lot of coordinating in previous internships with like Make-A-Wish and Meals on Wheels. But I had never done coordinating like this, where I was trying so hard to get so many people to do stuff for me, to tell their own stories and to do actual work in creating a video, making it look nice and making it look professional as they could, and uploading it. So yes, I definitely learned that however much outreach I thought I needed about 5 times more. All right, so skills I brought in. Communication skills. Pretty good about staying in communication with my supervisor and with my peers and with the people that I was asking for stories from. Writing skills, definitely needed, because I wrote hundreds of emails, and you really had to, get the prose and the wording down right to really entice people. And then organization, in terms of logging all of my outreach. And then skills that I've learned, the actual outreach, I learned a lot about, and a lot about different methods and reaching out via social media and via email and phone and all of that. Remote working, it is a skill, because you have to find a space for yourself and be, committed and self-sufficient at working and self-disciplined. And so I definitely learned a lot about that. I've never worked remotely before. And persuasion. Oddly, I found myself feeling a lot in this internship like a saleswoman, selling the idea of the American Portrait Project to people that I was asking to upload their stories. And I definitely learned a lot about persuasion and persuading them to that their stories really were needed and worth telling, and just getting them to follow through. Observations and insights. I have learned that I would prefer to work independently, and I would prefer to create stories rather than digging from them. I just didn't really like my deadlines being dependent on other people, on people who didn't work in, the entertainment industry, just regular people, me getting them to upload their stories. I didn't like feeling like a saleswoman, and I learned that part of the job wasn't really for me. So I'm glad I went ahead and learned that before I went and got a job in it. All right, so in terms of legacy, I'm definitely leaving some great stories behind that I found through my outreach. There are so many stories that all of us as interns were able to find and really make a difference to the American Portrait Project and what it represents and the diversity of it. So I definitely hope that I'm leaving behind some great legacy in that regard. I would tell someone who is considering an internship at Radical Media, especially with the American Portrait Project, to be prepared to do a lot of convincing and know that meeting deadlines can be difficult when you're relying on others. If you have a lot of connections with people in other states, that's going to be so much better for you. And if you don't mind feeling like, a little bit of a salesperson and doing a little bit of persuasion, if you don't mind that, or if you like that, if you love digging for stories, then definitely go for it. This is the internship for you. This internship has benefited me by giving me a unique experience working with production that I probably wouldn't have had otherwise. Hate Corona, but love the opportunity to work remotely with a company that is centered in New York while I live in North Carolina. And to get to participate in a project like American Portrait was really cool, and it was really cool to see behind the scenes everything that goes into something like that.